Emily Carter had always been a fighter, but lately, the fight was wearing her down. At 26, she juggled 2 part-time jobs just to make ends meet, often skipping meals or stretching her last dollar to cover rent. What made things harder was the secret she carried, a chronic health condition that she'd hidden from everyone, even her closest friends. For years, Emily managed her symptoms alone. She took over-the-counter painkillers when the discomfort became unbearable and pushed through fatigue like it was just another obstacle. But deep inside, she felt ashamed. The thought of going to a doctor terrified her, not only because of the cost but also because she feared judgment. Would they think she was weak? Or worse, would they dismiss her because she couldn't afford proper care? Her breaking point came one rainy evening at work. Exhausted and dizzy, Emily collapsed behind the counter of the cafe where she worked. Her coworkers rushed to help, urging her to see a doctor. Reluctantly, Emily agreed. For the first time in years, fear outweighed pride. The next day, she found herself sitting nervously in the waiting room of a small clinic near her apartment. The walls were painted a soft blue, posters about wellness lined the space, and faint chatter filled the air. Still, Emily couldn't shake her anxiety. What if they asked questions she didn't want to answer? What if the bills piled up again? When her name was called, she walked into an exam room, clutching her worn sweater tightly around her. A moment later, the door opened, and a man stepped in, Dr. Ryan Mitchell. He introduced himself with a warm smile, his calm demeanor putting her slightly at ease. "Hi, Emily," he said gently. "Tell me what's going on." Emily hesitated, her voice barely above a whisper. I haven't been feeling well. For a long time." Dr. Mitchell nodded, encouraging her to continue. As she spoke, haltingly and with visible discomfort, something shifted in his expression. Not pity, but understanding. By the end of their conversation, Emily felt a flicker of hope for the first time in months. What she didn't know yet was that this seemingly ordinary doctor wasn't just there to treat her condition. He was about to change her entire perspective on life. Dr. Ryan Mitchell wasn't like any doctor Emily had imagined. There was no coldness in his gaze, no rush to finish the appointment. Instead, he listened, truly listened, as she stumbled through her explanation of years spent avoiding care. "I'm sorry," Emily said after a long pause, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "I know I should have come sooner, but things got in the way." Dr. Mitchell leaned back slightly, his expression thoughtful. "You don't need to apologize, Emily. Everyone has their reasons for waiting. What matters now is that you're here." His kindness caught her off guard. She hadn't expected empathy from someone whose job was to diagnose and treat illnesses. But Dr. Mitchell seemed genuinely interested in more than just her symptoms. He wanted to understand her. "Can you tell me more about what's been going on?" he asked softly. "How long have you felt this way?" Emily hesitated, then began sharing pieces of her story. The fatigue that never went away, the pain that came and went without warning, the nights spent awake wondering if she'd ever feel normal again. She admitted how ashamed she felt for not seeking help earlier, how she worried people would judge her for being too poor or too weak to take care of herself. Dr. Mitchell nodded, his eyes steady and reassuring. "It takes courage to talk about these things, Emily, and it's okay to ask for help. That's why I'm here, to make sure you get the care you deserve." Unbeknownst to Emily, Dr. Mitchell wasn't just a compassionate physician. He was also a self-made millionaire who had dedicated his life to helping others. Years ago, he'd grown up in a struggling family that couldn't afford medical care when they needed it most. When he later built his fortune through smart investments, he vowed to use his wealth to give back by opening clinics like this one. Places where money wouldn't stand between patients and the care they needed. But none of that mattered right now. All that mattered was the young woman sitting across from him, visibly carrying the weight of years of neglecting her health. As Emily continued speaking, Dr. Mitchell noticed something else. A quiet resilience beneath her shyness. Despite everything she'd endured, she still showed up to work every day, still tried to push forward despite her pain. It reminded him of his own mother, who had worked tirelessly even while battling illness because she had no other choice. When Emily finished, tears glistened in her eyes. "I don't want to be a burden," she whispered. I don't know what to do anymore. You're not a burden, Dr. Mitchell said firmly, leaning forward to meet her gaze. Everyone deserves to be healthy, Emily, no matter their circumstances. That's why I opened this clinic, to help people like you. He explained that the clinic operated on a sliding scale payment system, ensuring that cost would never prevent someone from receiving care. For cases like hers, where financial hardship was clear, treatment could be provided entirely free of charge. Emily stared at him, stunned. Free? How could such kindness exist in a world that often felt so harsh? Before she could respond, Dr. Mitchell added, "Let's focus on getting you better, okay? One step at a time." For the first time in years, Emily felt a spark of hope. Maybe she didn't have to face this alone after all. Over the next few weeks, Emily began receiving treatment under Dr. Mitchell's care. For the first time in years, she felt like someone truly understood her struggles. Not just her physical symptoms, but also the emotional toll of living with a chronic condition. Dr. Mitchell prescribed medications, recommended lifestyle changes, and even connected her with specialists who could provide additional support. But what stood out most to Emily wasn't just his medical expertise. It was his unwavering compassion. During each visit, he checked in not only on her health but also on how she was coping emotionally. He encouraged her to share her fears, frustrations, and hopes, reminding her that healing was as much about mental well-being as it was about physical recovery. One afternoon, after a particularly encouraging checkup, Emily gathered the courage to ask him something that had been on her mind. "Dr. Mitchell," she began hesitantly, "why do you do this? Why go out of your way to help people like me?" Dr. Mitchell smiled faintly, leaning back in his chair. For a moment, he seemed lost in thought. Then he started speaking, slowly at first, then with growing passion. "I grew up poor," he admitted. "My family couldn't afford health care when we needed it most. Watching my mom suffer because she didn't have access to proper treatment, it broke something inside me. When I later found success, I made a promise to myself. I wouldn't let anyone else feel the way we did." Emily listened intently as he explained how he'd used his wealth to open clinics like this one across underserved communities. His goal wasn't fame or recognition. It was to ensure that no one would ever have to choose between rent and medicine again. "I don't advertise any of this," he added with a shrug, "because it's not about me. It's about making sure people like you get the care they deserve without fear or shame." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she absorbed his words. Until now, she'd always believed that kindness on this scale didn't exist, that rich people hoarded their wealth while everyone else struggled. But here was Dr. Mitchell, proving her wrong in the most profound way possible. "You saved me," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Not just my health, but my faith in people." Dr. Mitchell shook his head gently. "You saved yourself, Emily. All I did was give you a chance to heal. Now it's up to you to take it from here." That conversation changed everything for Emily. For so long, she'd carried the weight of her struggles alone, convinced that asking for help was a sign of weakness. But Dr. Mitchell showed her that seeking support wasn't shameful. It was brave, and his generosity inspired her to see herself differently, not as a burden, but as someone worthy of care and compassion. As her treatments continued, Emily noticed subtle shifts within herself. She walked taller, spoke more confidently, and approached challenges with renewed determination. Knowing that someone believed in her gave her the strength to believe in herself. During one of her follow-up visits, Dr. Mitchell handed her a small notebook. "Write down your thoughts," he suggested, "about your journey, your fears, your hopes. It might help you process everything you've been through." At first, Emily hesitated. Writing felt vulnerable, almost too personal. But as she began jotting down her reflections, something remarkable happened. Her words flowed freely, raw and honest, capturing not just her pain but also her resilience. She wrote about the shame she'd carried for years, the moment she met Dr. Mitchell, and the hope she now felt for the future. What started as a private exercise soon evolved into something bigger. Encouraged by Dr. Mitchell, Emily decided to share parts of her story publicly, first through anonymous posts online, then during patient support groups at the clinic. To her surprise, Others resonated deeply with her experiences. Many shared similar stories of neglecting their health due to financial struggles or embarrassment, thanking her for giving them the courage to seek help. Through these interactions, Emily realized that Dr. Mitchell's impact extended far beyond individual patients. He created a ripple effect of hope and empowerment. And now, thanks to him, she was becoming part of that legacy. By the time her condition stabilized, Emily knew she wanted to do more than just recover. Inspired by Dr. Mitchell's mission, she began volunteering at the clinic, assisting with administrative tasks and supporting new patients. Her presence brought comfort to those hesitant to open up, offering proof that healing and dignity was possible. Little did Emily know, this was only the beginning of her transformation. The same kindness that healed her body would soon ignite a desire to heal others, carrying Dr. Mitchell's vision forward in ways neither of them could have imagined. With Dr. Mitchell's guidance and support, Emily's health steadily improved. The medications worked, her energy returned, and for the first time in years, she felt like herself again. But the changes weren't just physical, her mindset shifted too. She no longer saw her condition as a source of shame, but as a part of her journey that had taught her resilience and gratitude. Volunteering at the clinic became Emily's new purpose. At first, she helped with simple tasks, organizing files, answering phones, and greeting patients. But over time, she took on more meaningful roles, sitting with nervous visitors, sharing her story, and encouraging them to open up about their struggles. Many patients found comfort in talking to someone who truly understood what they were going through. One day, a young woman named Mia walked into the clinic, visibly anxious. Her hands trembled as she filled out paperwork, and she avoided eye contact when Emily approached her. Sensing her fear, Emily introduced herself and offered a warm smile. "I've been where you are," Emily said gently. "It's okay to feel scared. This place is here to help." Mia hesitated before nodding, tears welling up in her eyes. As they talked, Emily shared bits of her own story, the embarrassment, the isolation, and finally, the hope she'd found thanks to Dr. Mitchell. By the end of their conversation, Mia looked less tense, even managing a small smile. Watching moments like these reminded Emily of her own transformation. She realized that Dr. Mitchell hadn't just healed her body. He'd given her tools to heal others. His belief in her worthiness had sparked a chain reaction, empowering her to pass that same belief on to others. Dr. Mitchell noticed Emily's growth and often praised her contributions. "You're making a real difference here," he told her one evening after a busy day at the clinic. "Your voice matters, Emily. Keep using it." Those words stayed with her long after their conversation ended. They inspired her to take another step forward, to use her experiences not just within the walls of the clinic but beyond them. She started writing articles about affordable healthcare, advocating for policies that supported underserved communities. Her pieces gained traction online, resonating with readers who shared similar struggles. Through her advocacy work, Emily discovered a passion she never knew she had: fighting for systemic change. She attended local meetings, joined grassroots organizations, and collaborated with other activists to expand access to medical resources. Every speech, every article, every moment spent mentoring others was a testament to the ripple effect of Dr. Mitchell's kindness. Meanwhile, Emily continued volunteering at the clinic, forming bonds with both patients and staff. One afternoon, while helping organize a community health fair hosted by the clinic, she overheard two women discussing her. "Did you hear her story?" one asked. "She used to be so scared to ask for help, and now look at her, speaking in front of crowds, helping everyone else." The other woman nodded. "She's proof that things can get better. If she can do it, maybe I can too." Overhearing this exchange brought tears to Emily's eyes. It wasn't fame or recognition she craved. It was knowing that her journey could inspire others to keep going, even when life felt impossible. As months turned into years, Emily's role at the clinic evolved. She transitioned from volunteer to patient advocate, working alongside Dr. Mitchell to ensure no one slipped through the cracks. Together, they expanded the clinic services, adding mental health counseling, nutrition workshops, and educational programs designed to empower patients to take control of their well-being. Through it all, Emily remained humble, always crediting Dr. Mitchell for setting her on this path. Yet deep down, she knew she'd earned every bit of progress she'd made, not just for herself but for everyone whose lives she touched. What she didn't realize yet was that her impact would extend far beyond the clinic's walls. Inspired by her story, others began stepping up to advocate for affordable healthcare, creating a movement rooted in compassion and accessibility. And at the center of it all stood Emily, a once embarrassed young woman who had transformed into a beacon of hope. Little did Emily know, her journey was far from over. The same courage that allowed her to seek help would soon lead her to inspire countless others, proving that healing isn't just personal, it's collective. Years passed, and Emily Carter became a household name in advocacy circles. Her story had spread far beyond the clinic walls. Through articles, interviews, and public speaking engagements, she inspired thousands to seek help without fear of judgment or financial burden. What started as a personal journey of healing had grown into a movement for accessible healthcare. Emily's partnership with Dr. Mitchell remained at the heart of her work. Together, they expanded the clinic network, opening new locations across underserved communities nationwide. Each facility carried the same mission, providing compassionate care regardless of a patient's background or ability to pay. The clinics became beacons of hope, offering not just medical treatment but also education, counseling, and mentorship programs. One of Emily's proudest achievements was launching a scholarship fund for aspiring healthcare professionals from low-income families. Named after Dr. Mitchell, the program aimed to inspire the next generation of healers, people who would carry forward his vision of kindness and accessibility. Every year, Emily spoke at the scholarship ceremony, sharing her gratitude for Dr. Mitchell and urging recipients to use their skills to uplift others. Through it all, Emily stayed grounded. She often returned to the original clinic where her life changed, volunteering whenever she could, sitting with patients, listening to their stories, and reminding them that they weren't alone brought her immense fulfillment. It reminded her of her own journey, the shame, the fear, and ultimately, the redemption she found through one man's generosity. Dr. Mitchell watched her progress with quiet pride. "You've come so far," he once told her during a rare quiet moment at the clinic. "What you're doing now, it's exactly what I hoped for when I first met you." Emily smiled, her eyes glistening with tears. "None of this would have been possible without you. You gave me more than health, you gave me purpose." But Dr. Mitchell shook his head gently. "I only pointed you in the right direction. You did the rest." As time went on, Emily realized that Dr. Mitchell's legacy wasn't just about the clinics or scholarships. It was about the ripple effect of kindness. Every person helped at the clinic carried that kindness into the world, creating a chain reaction of compassion and empowerment. And Emily? She was living proof that one act of generosity could change countless lives. Determined to honor his spirit, Emily continued expanding her efforts. She partnered with national organizations, lobbied for policy changes, and traveled globally to share her message. Healthcare is a human right, not a privilege. Her voice echoed in conference halls, classrooms, and community centers, reaching people who needed to hear it most. Even as her influence grew, Emily never forgot where she came from. She kept the notebook Dr. Mitchell had given her years ago, filling its pages with reflections, goals, and reminders of why she'd started this journey. On tough days, she flipped through it, finding strength in her own words, and in the memory of the doctor who believed in her when no one else did. Little did Emily know, her impact would continue to grow long after she stepped back from the spotlight. Because sometimes, one person's courage can spark a lifetime of change, for themselves and for the world. Years later, Emily stood outside the original clinic where her journey began. The building looked much the same, soft blue walls, posters about wellness, but its impact had grown exponentially. Inside, new patients walked in, nervous and unsure, just as she once had. Outside, a plaque read, "Dedicated to Dr. Ryan Mitchell, whose vision made this possible." Emily smiled, running her fingers over the engraving. Dr. Mitchell had retired years ago, leaving the clinics in capable hands, including hers. Though he now lived quietly out of the public eye, his legacy lived on through every patient treated, every volunteer inspired, and every advocate empowered. In her pocket, Emily carried a small note from him, written during their last meeting. "Your voice matters. Use it to help others." It was a reminder she cherished, one that kept her grounded even as her influence reached global stages. As she turned to leave, a young woman approached her. "Are you Emily Carter?" she asked shyly. When Emily nodded, the woman continued, "I just wanted to say thank you. Your story, it gave me hope when I didn't think I had any." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she hugged the woman tightly. In that moment, she realized something profound. Kindness never stops. It keeps spreading, touching lives in ways we may never fully see. Walking away, Emily felt at peace. She no longer saw herself as the scared, embarrassed girl who avoided doctors' offices. Instead, she saw someone transformed by compassion and determined to pass it forward. The rain began to fall softly, mirroring the night Dr. Mitchell first welcomed her into the clinic. Emily tilted her face upward, letting the drops wash over her. Somewhere out there, he was still watching, still believing in the power of kindness to heal not just bodies but hearts. Sometimes one act of generosity can spark a lifetime of change, for one person and for the world.